Hello and welcome to today's video where we're going, well, actually, I guess it's the Nexus report, right? That's what I'm titling it, not first, probably in there it says first stand day one. Um, so, we're going to go over the DFM move first, and then the first stand games. I understand people are going to be like, oh, why are we fucking talking about DFM? They're literally one of the worst teams, if not the worst team in the world right now. Well, because I treat all teams equally. So, Gang is out. He retired. An import for DFM. He was actually on the team the year that they got out of play-ins and went to the main event for the LJL, a high point and a peak for the region prior to its essentially, demotion into what is now the APAC region and LCP. Gang struggled in his return to DFM, replacing Harp, who was pretty solid there for a couple of years. And in part, Cocoon also sucks. So I'm not going to lie. DFM's bot lane is maybe the worst in the world. I don't know how you fix this, really, but that is a thing. 1.3 KDA, 64 KP, 0.7 CS per minute. 0.7, that's probably right, but 0.7 ROI. So dying a lot, not involved in many of his team's kills or fighting away from him. He's not dealing a lot of damage because he's not present. Vision sucks, 1.96. His ward placement is terrible. You could say, well, he's not winning lane. Well, then don't waste your ward if you're not going to place it somewhere where somebody's actually going to be. Behind 441 gold at 15 minutes. Did play 10 different champions in 15 games, though. So tried a lot of different champions, and it didn't work. Caveat to DFM as well. Fisher was let go by Breon. We're not talking about that statistically as of the moment because he didn't play any games in the LCK this season. He played a handful of games in Kespa Cup and one game in Challengers. And now they've brought in Loki to compete with Romer for the starting job. And Fisher is rumored to maybe replace Kine on DFM. If that happens, we'll talk about it then. Now, first stand, what we're all here for. So BLG, BFX. I thought BLG would win this in a dominant fashion, but maybe drop a game in a 3-1 angle. It ended up being 3-2 for BLG. BFX actually going up 2-1 in this series, but that wasn't really... When you look at all 5 games statistically, which is what this channel is about, BLG actually were more dominant in this best of 5 than G2 in their 3-0 win against Team Secret Wells on a minute-by-minute basis when we look at the entirety of the series. BLG were up for 3 quarters. It's 74% of this series when you take into account gold and Drakes and the gold value they provide. I'm looking at gold in a different way than 99% of your analysts in broadcast. I think that it's something that's really overlooked. So that is a thing. Shun had a solo kill going 22, 11, and 57 for the team. Very dominant in the jungle role. Viper, 31% of his team's damage on 79 kill participation. Bin had 2 solo kills. Knight had 2 solo kills. Knight solo kills happened in game 1. Diable, 5 solo or 2v2 kills in this series. Had a pentakill in game 2 that sealed the deal for them on Jinx. And I tweeted at the time, this kid is the real deal. I said he's built different. And I've been saying this since he was in academy. I'm not the only person that noticed how good he was then statistically. He stood out as somebody that was cracked. And he showed today why he is in that regard. He's held that highly. He is a fucking great player. And he's going to have a bright future. Kellen's great alongside him, honestly. 74 KP. Diable went 18, 17, 24. Had 26% of the team's damage. Kellen had a solo 2v2 kill. Raptor had a solo kill. Some stats here. We have Drake's 11-9 in favor of BLG. Barons, 5-1 for BLG. One of their Barons was what ended game 2 for BFX winning. BLG averaged 2,550 gold, and one of BLG's Barons was negative 1,700 because of that lost team fight. And then BFX had 1 Baron for themselves, getting about 3,900 gold in it. When we look at when the first tower was taken, that's when I consider laning phase over, technically. Usually my gold stats are at 15 minutes because it's either depending on who's doing it. Oracles does 10. We see some people do 15. We see some people do 14. When all things are considered equal and I have the time to do it the way I want to do it, I consider laning phase to end when the first turret is taken. Then we all kind of get our lane assignments. Now, we all had our lane assignments, but roughly, I look at it that way. In this series, BLG led in all 4 areas of gold difference at the time the first turret fell. BLG also, in games 2 and 3, their losses, they were competitive. And that's huge. That's why they're up 74-26 in this series. Because game 1 and 4, BLG led from start to finish. It was not up in the air. Now, game 5, competitive. A competitive game 5, BLG having the edge for the majority. But games 2 and 3, BLG had moments where they were ahead. And in a spot where they could have won those games. Now, they lost them, game 2 being that last team fight, and game 3 as well. But BLG in their wins were dominant and in their losses were competitive. And that's something that we hold and that I'm going to hold going forward as like there is a difference between these two teams because BLG showed that they were the better team across it. Now, laning-wise, Bin had 600 gold on average into clear. The closest matchup was the jungle matchup, essentially even. Shun was up only 120 gold at 15 minutes on average. Big Diffie, though, Knight, averaging a 1,131 gold lead into Vikla. Vikla was outclassed. He was outclassed by Knight, and that's not a big surprise here. It really isn't. BFX, in my opinion, got here on the back of the bot lane duo and Raptor. The solo laners are along for the ride. Now, Vikla, there's a reason why they brought in Daystar this year as a 6th man. Now, Daystar really didn't become a thing, but Vikla is a 6-man roster roughly because of that. Bot lane duo goes the way of BLG, 771 gold combined. Viper had almost 1,000 DPM this series across 5 games. Diable under 700. Diable obviously has the pop-up one with Jinx. Great laning numbers, but in the mid to late game in the team fights, he really didn't have the impact he needed to quite affect this series the way that Viper did, statistically. So, in my opinion, this series is actually more lopsided, despite it being 3-2. We see the 3-2, and we immediately say, oh, it was really close. We played the Silver Scrape song, even though probably shouldn't. G2, Team Seeker Whales. Team Seeker Whales were ahead for the majority of Game 3 and lost. Game 2, they were ahead for some of it. G2 were ahead start to finish in Game 1. Team Seeker Whales showed adaptation throughout this series, in my opinion, that resulted in this. Pun having a 400 gold lead on average. And that was a matchup where I thought Team Seeker Whales had an opportunity. Pun into BB. And it showed. But regardless, Caps had a solo kill, 14-7 and 30. BB had 3 solo kills, 2 on Shen, 26% of his team's damage. Lebrav had a solo or 2v2 kill, 71 KP. Hansama had 2 as well. Team Seeker Whales, his total, 13, 10, 17, 73 KP. Eddie, 2 solo kills, 2v2 kills, 26% of his team's damage. Pun had 2. Dyer had 3. Dyer had a pretty solid series. At least there were things to redeemable. It was a redeemable 3-0. And BA had a solo 2v2 kill as well. Drake's 8-5 for G2. G2 took all 4 Barons. I did not put it up here. They averaged I want to say 4,131. I want to say that might be close per Baron. Very solid Baron power plays for the most part. They affected the Rift. They closed out games with them. They pushed the game out of reach for Team Seeker Whales in those moments. In terms of gold difference, G2 up 67-33. Gold difference plus Drake's being in consideration. I'm not saying either of these series were close. I mean, G2 are ahead for 2/3 of the minutes played. BLG are ahead for 3/4. It's just we see the 3-0, 3-2, and we're immediately going to just think very loosely about, oh, well, this series had to be closer than this one. It's well, really, when we look at it, I mean, Team Seeker Whales were pretty competitive in game 3 here. We're ahead for the majority and just lost it. And in game 2, it was competitive. You say scaling, comps, this and that, but that leaves it on the other team to snowball the win and take advantage. But regardless, so G2 very strong, very strong. Interesting drafts, of course. We see the Clyde, we see the Shen. Team Secret Whales, though, like I said, they adapted. Game 1, putting Pun on Ornn, not great. Pun, statistically, one of the strongest carry-oriented damage-dealing top laners in the minor regions. And you put him on Ornn. When you have Dire into Caps, and you put, I think Dire was on Aurora, you make him a favorable matchup, but it's like, come on. Like, give him the less, give Pun the ball, not Dire, and frankly, give Eddie the ball. But regardless, Eddie BA were really kind of screwed in this series. One of the games all the way, so BLG, BFX, we saw an early level 1 as well. But, which I really like level 1s. Very underutilized. We see him at an international event, we're like, oh shit, yeah, that's right, those can happen. But regardless, G2 into Team Secret Whales, Han Sama LeBravo, a big difference maker, averaging about a 1,400 gold lead at 15 minutes. I mean, combined, that's significant. Mid-jungle duo, very close. Combined, G2, when we take the mid-jungle into account, they're only ahead 148 gold. And that was going to be where I thought G2 were going to make a difference. And I'm going to say that when that sort of shit happens, it does make me think about my prediction and putting them above BFX and saying, well, I think that there's a chance. Vikla into Caps could be still not quite as lopsided, but in Caps' favor. But Raptors competitive into Shun, and Screwman not dominating or having the opportunities to dominate his toe quite as much as you'd like. That's not great. So that's a thing. But Pun averaging a 400 gold lead at 15 minutes, or not 15 minutes, excuse me. This is the turret taken time, is significant as well. You say, oh, well, he took a turret. Yeah, well, he won lane. Deserves credit for that. So, yeah. Both pretty lopsided series, but actually G2 Team Secret Whales was closer. And I don't know how that bodes for G2 going forward in this tournament. I don't know how to really feel about that, because I had them fourth. And, well, I mean, they have a chance to guarantee that. So, that's it for the video. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, like it. Subscribe to the channel for daily League of Legends content. Follow me on Twitter. Join the Discord. Become a YouTube supporter. And hope to see you again tomorrow.